Yo, yo, yo. As soon as I start the video. But everybody, welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about representation and why it's a problem in our current modern society. Right now, unfortunately, we're dealing with a problem and we're dealing with a situation where people don't necessarily understand, I believe, that we are being conned. And I'm gonna go over a few examples throughout this video to kind of illustrate the point that I'm making and what I'm talking about as it relates to the actual misrepresentation, for lack of a better word, that we experience as a people, as a group, currently in modern day society. But before I go ahead and get started, can everybody go ahead, if you are here with me or you're watching afterwards, hit the like button, hit the share button. Thank you. I appreciate you for coming and enjoying, as well as just wanting to see what I have to say, express, dialogue. Because as we know, these things are not easy, especially to express kind of what I feel like are not so likable opinions, because a lot of people would much rather just be inoculated with the notion that people actually care about us, which they don't. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go and scoot over, move into my next screen so that I can go ahead and show y'all what I mean by this. So first example I wanted to go over was this Taraji P. Henson crying for tears after having one of probably the better careers of modern female actresses about time. So without it, Taraji P. Henson was overcome by emotion on Tuesday, right? In a new interview that touched on rumors that she said she was considering quitting acting. After Gayle King brought up the rumors, the 53-year-old actress began to tear up almost immediately and sat through a length pause before she could speak again. You know, I'm just tired of working so hard, being gracious at what I do and getting paid a fraction of the cost, she finally said after Danielle Brooks, her co-star in The Color Purple, reached out a hand for support. She and Taraji were making the rounds of the film's director Blitz to promote their upcoming film, which also stars Fantasia as well as Coleman Domingo and is adapted from the 1982 Alice Walker novel. Again, they're talking about right now The Color Purple. But you all can, I'm pretty sure mostly everybody has seen the outpour and the cry in the video. I'm not going to play it. But I think that, to my first point, right? So when we talk about representation, everybody talks about having people on screens and having people in elected office or having people that look like you, right? And the first thing I wanted to touch on was the difference between phenotypical representation and ideology, right? So we have a lot of people who may look like us and talk like us and walk like us, but they don't necessarily think like us, right? And what do I mean by that? You have a lot of people who will basically charade around as, you know, oh, well, I'm black, I'm proud, and say all of the right things to kind of get us on board with a lot of the cultural norms that take place. But as a result, they're selling you that on the front end, but not actually creating a space to what Monique's point in this whole scenario was, is that we don't have the resources to actually back the representation. So the representation falls short because you now don't have the resources associated with it. And I wanted to use this specifically as an example because what we see is a person who, For what it's worth, she was in a few Tyler Perry movies. Tyler Perry came out and made a comment about he made her the highest paid. He gave her the biggest bag that she ever got. And for what it's worth, you got Baby Boy. She had a good career, like I said. But here it is. And this is, let me just to make sure that I'm correct. This came out in 2023. And it was updated December 2023. So this is recent. So this is after everything that has been sold as, oh yeah, you know, support black this, support black that, but at the same time, we don't have any results to show for it. Another example of that, and I'm not gonna pull it up, but the Black Panther movie that had came out that everybody loved and ha ha, rah, 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 big uproar, right? The Winter Soldier, the white guy who played in there, I wanna say was the highest paid actor. And it was crazy when I found it out, and you all can go look it up. He didn't have the biggest role. As we all know, Chadwick Boseman, who played T'Challa, had the biggest part in the movie. And even when you look at Black Panther, I felt like was this weird amalgamation of what it looks like to have misrepresentation. And I say that because Chadwick Boseman, who played T'Challa, was the only person who understood and recognized that him being the Black Panther was the actual bad guy. Killmonger was the actual representation of your modern day African American, your modern day American descendant slave, your modern day person who's gonna come from oppression. Killmonger was that person. But Killmonger was the person who was made out to be the villain, and his ideology, what he believed, what he thought was the way to free everybody by using the, not plutonium, the vibranium, whatever the hell is in Wakanda, that creates and allows them to have this world where they can use the technology to outpace society. He said, you know what, look, I come from America. America don't care about my group. I'm going to take this, my rightful ownership of this, because I am and have lineage connected to Wakanda, and I'm going to use the resources to actually get what we need so that we can be actually competitive within the whole ecosystem of what is the game, right? Because everybody loves to talk about the game, but in reality, we aren't really even playing in the game. Hold on, can everybody see that? Let me see. Can you all see the screen? I just want to make sure that everything is good. But that's my first example of how all of these different things, where we talk about representation, quote unquote, fall short, and we continue to fall for it. Like, it's crazy that here in 2025, people still are talking about, oh yeah, representation, I want to be represented. Okay, you get represented, you get put in a movie, we get elected to office, we get a restaurant, we get all of these different things, but socially, as a collective, economically, as a collective, we still find ourselves not being able to participate in fullness. Not in this haphazard way where everybody gotta hustle and have 5 different jobs to be able to sustain. Everybody's not doing that. Again, it is crazy that we still talking about representation. I thought y'all would have understood this after the whole kente cloth and all of that Democrat stuff that they did during the pandemic. Like, I thought we got it. Like, this is nonsense. This is foolery. Why are we even allowing ourselves to be used in this way? Because not only do people do it, people sell it as a false form of progress, which is what I'm gonna go into next in my next example. Because that is, people talk about what are solutions, right? You can't create a solution to something that you don't even think is a problem. People don't even think that we're poor. People don't even think that we are in a situation as a group. Because again, I know all of my people who are individually well off want to say, well, what a me. Right now, I'm having a conversation about collective. Can we please keep that in mind and keep that in an appropriate frame when we're having these discussions? Because part of the thing is when you're entering into a political discussion or a political space, try to refrain from using yourself unless yourself happens to be the rule and not the exception. The rule and not the exception. So if you are the rule, so you fall into that 80% of this is what people experience, please use yourself. But if you find yourself in like that small percentile of you're an anomaly at this point, you muddy the conversation. We're not talking about the small bourgeoisie right now who was able to collect on, and we'll get into that later, blackness and capitalize on it. But we're out of that moment. So like and hear me when I say representation can be used for good. But right now, understand that it is being weaponized against us, and it should be who of us to catch that and not allow ourselves to be used in that way. Now, what do I mean? I'm about to go back to the point of allowing ourselves to be used, people capitalizing on blackness, and also the idea that we have something, but we aren't necessarily that, right? So, boom. Everybody love Diddy. Diddy is in the courts right now. Diddy has been in the black imagination since I've been alive. You know, everybody want to be Diddy. Get out, vote or die. You know, he got making a band, go get us some cheesecake, bad boy this, bad boy that, can't stop, won't stop. Everything that we know Diddy to be, right? Outside of, even included what he going through right now, because that's a part of it. That desire to want to continue, right? But right here, we're talking about Diageo in its 15-year partnership with Diddy following a lawsuit. And this is from CNN, 2023. Spirit makers Diageo has cut ties with Sean Diddy Combs in a lucrative 15-year partnership that recently culminated in a racial discrimination lawsuit. So for all of my people who want to say that race don't exist and racism don't exist, I'm gonna just say regarding this situation, I don't know specifically to the racist nature of it. I think Diddy might have gotten played and wanted to play that on the back end because he was comfortable with selling us. But I also just seen in the news that Google settled out of court with a bunch of people based on racial discrimination. And again, in most cases, people settle because they know that they on the tomfoolery and the fuckery. But that's for all of my people who, if racism don't exist, black fatigue. Just shut up, man. But back to it. This music mogul charged that Diageo had neglected and under-promoted his De Leon tequila, dismissing it as an urban product in its marketing in a suit filed last month. The London-based Diageo, which makes well-known liquor brands like Smirnoff Vodka, Johnny Walker Whiskey, countered that this was a baseless complaint. In a statement obtained by CNN, Diageo said Diddy's bad faith actions have clearly breached his contracts and left us no choice but to end our business relationship. So sad. Diageo also filed a motion to dismiss his lawsuit. Diddy accused Diageo of failing to market his spirits, which also include Ciroc vodka, in a similar manner with its other brands including Don Julio and the George Clooney-founded Casamigos. Diageo responded that he has amassed nearly $1 billion from the partnership. Diageo and Combs have partnered on Ciroc vodka since 2007. In 2013, Combs bought De Leon and formed a joint venture. So now he kind of has some like ownership, but not quite, right? Well, and I'll talk to that. With Diageo for the high-end tequila. Diddy said in his lawsuit that Diageo kneecapped De Leon's sales growth for a nearly decade because the company considered it a black brand and marketed it only to urban customers. He also claimed that a Diageo executive told him that if Combs were Martha Stewart, then his brands would be more widespread. Diageo has denied the accusations. Of course they do. They always do. Diageo said Tuesday that Diddy has repeatedly undermined our partnerships and threatened to publicly defame Diageo if we did not meet his unreasonable financial demands. The company has also said that they've invested more than $100 million to help grow his tequila and accused him of only contributing $1,000. Just $1,000. For you to got all this money, $1,000 ain't shit. You are a bad partner, sir. In response, Diddy's attorney, John Houston, said in a statement that Diageo has attempted to end its deals with Mr. Combs and is firing a whistleblower who calls out racism, and that the company's decision is a cynical and transparent attempt to distract from multiple allegations of discrimination. Attorney Charles Gerben told CNN that it is not surprising that Diageo wanted to end its agreement with Combs because whenever a lawsuit gets filed that makes such strong allegations of wrongdoing, it is a sign of an irreparable break in a business relationship. At the moment, we are left to wonder what, if any, of the allegations made by either party are factually accurate, and depending on how these cases resolve, we may never know the answer to that question. So, with that being said, what the hell does that have to do with false representation? First off, let me start with the fact that people don't... Going back to the Taraji P. Henson story, and the crazy part is, Cat Williams, Monique, Ice Cube, there have been a slew of people in the industry who've come out and told us. It was another dude, I forget his name, who was sleeping on the couch, right? Sleeping on the couch. Then you had the dude who just came out, That's So Raven, who started a GoFundMe, the dad. So you telling me that we have been represented? Black moguls, black millionaires, buy 2 private jets, blah, 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 all of the shit that we have consumed, right? And again, I'm not above it. I consumed it too. But at a certain point, after a certain time, it's like, yo, we being lied to. They using us to promote this black hustle. Well, they using us to consume. They using Diddy to promote black hustle culture. And basically, you contributing $1,000 to a multi-million dollar corporation who like, bruh, you contributed $1,000. Whether I market your stuff or not, what does it really matter? You only contributed $1,000. And it came out even further that you were only a brand ambassador. But what's the problem with that? Because we were sold on, we going bad because we black, bad because we black, bad because we black. So we just spent all of this money on Ciroc, all of this money on Douce, all of this money on whatever the fuck black people come out with and tell us to get because it's black. And I forget the gentleman's name, but he came out the other day and made some comments about why people should not support business just because it's black. Part of that is the reason. Why? Because, all right, for all of the money, think about it like this. We only helped other people come up. The same people who we say are trying to oppress us. What the fuck do you mean by that? So for all of the money that we gave to Ciroc, and for all of my it's checkers, not it's chess, not checkers people, you made the demon that's feeding off of you that much stronger in an effort to circumvent that demon, because all of the resources and all of everything attached to his likeness was being used in other ventures to extract more goods, more resources, and corner more markets. We are being used, people. That's not love. That's not representation. That is you being a front man, because as a white person, I understand the cultural norms right now, and I understand that certain stuff ain't gonna fly in terms of if it's me coming to you and market it. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna send a Negro into your home and sell it to you. Because black excellence, black representation. And then it's so crazy because we're not even defining what black is. People, I remember it was funny as hell because the whole Rachel Dolezal situation and all of that had came out. And it's like, yeah, y'all mad at Rachel Dolezal. I thought this shit was crazy. But at the same time, y'all ain't defining black, and y'all just allow anything to be black. Y'all I want to invite everybody to the cookout. So you get what you get, right? Diddy isn't the only one. There's a number of cases, there are a number of examples that I can go down the line of in terms of we were sold, I would say FUBU is probably more black owned, but Damon, whatever his name is, John, which I'm gonna get into later, phenotypically is us, but ideologically is indifferent to the conditions of Negroes. And that's a whole nother discussion that I'm gonna go into when I talk about the ideology versus the phenotype, because that matters. Because how you think matters more in this moment, because I'm gonna get into it, because all that black people not a monolith shit is stupid. It's not the flex that we think it is. And again, that's not to say that everybody can't have their own specific thought, but if you ever learn something from the whites or the Jewish community, is that they are a monolith. They might have disagreements on the inside of their homes, but when they come out full force, one big pillar. One, just one. And for all of the ones who don't be agreeing with them, you see what Trump and them doing right now. Yeah, all y'all woke that's why they waging war on wokeness. Because all you nigga lovers gotta go. Gotta go. Gotta go. Nobody ever liked the nigga lovers. I'm just saying, man. That's the truth. And if we don't ever have a conversation about the falsehoods of, oh yeah, well, we got a black mermaid. Okay. For what? What did we get outside of being happy and feeling good about ourselves? It's like my son asking me every day for candy. Just because it feels good, I like candy too, but I know I gotta feed him substance. Stop being so thirsty for the representation that you allow the lack thereof to be used against you. Because we don't got shit to show for it. The quality of life has not improved. And like I said, they are saying by 2050, economically, collectively, as a group, that our wealth will be zero in a capitalist society. And we still talking about representation, man. What the fuck? Sometimes I don't even know if it's worth it, because like, are we toddlers? Like, you want representation, which is cool, like I said, but don't you want what's supposed to come with it? The resources, the access? You just gonna throw me out here and be like, oh yeah. Let me go on to my next one, right? Some along the same lines. This is the whole Jay-Z Rock Nation Super Bowl. Everybody understand that, right? October, this is from USA Today, October 2024. Rock Nation and the NFL have extended their partnership. The entertainment company founded Jay-Z's will continue to produce the Super Bowl halftime show. USA Today confirmed with a person familiar with the situation but not authorized to speak publicly. The details of the contract have yet to be announced. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell and Jay-Z first announced their multi-year partnership with Rock Nation back in 2019, with the company serving as the NFL's live music entertainment strategist as part of the NFL's Inspire Change Initiative. Inspire Change Initiative. I'm going to come back to that. The initiative also focuses on the league's social justice efforts. Putting racism on the lampposts and shit. That's it. And was launched following the NFL's controversial treatment of former player Colin Kaepernick, which was never resolved. They said, fuck y'all. And then y'all wonder why they still be doing racist shit. That's why part of me love people like Jerry Jones and Trump, because they just be smacking you in the face. And it's like, oh my God, well, and then we make all these excuses. But who kneeled during the national anthem protest police brutality during the 2016 season, right? It's been a mutually positive relationship, Goodell told Bloomberg, who was first to report the news. I'm not sure either of us really spend much time talking about contracts. That's crazy. Jay is happy. Desiree Perez is happy. I'm happy. So we're all good. Under the partnership with Rock Nation, Super Bowl halftime headliners have included Shakira, Jennifer Lopez, The Weeknd, blah, 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 blah. In September, Lamar was announced as the 2025 Apple Music Super Bowl halftime show headliner. Super Bowl, what is it, 59, I want to say? It's scheduled for February 9th, 2025, and the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. Meanwhile, the Inspire Change campaign has resulted in $55 million in grants to social justice organizations. And team contributions have resulted in more than 248 million to change-driven nonprofits, according to the NFL. Now, change-driven nonprofits. Let's talk about slush funds, people. Let's talk about it. Because in a political conversation, you got to talk about slush funds, man, and how people move money around, and why you aren't seeing any real change from these change groups. So, what is a slush fund, you might ask? A slush fund is going to be an organization, usually a nonprofit, right? Where, let's say, I'm at the top, I'm top dog, right? I'll tell 3 of these people, right? Set up a business. Boom. I get contracts. Boom. So, when you get a government contract, usually nonprofits, especially in this social change space where everybody's trying to basically poverty pimp, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna just call it what it is. Don't nobody really want to have a conversation about it. Don't nobody really want to talk about it. But a lot of people, it's poverty pimps. That's what it is. Because basically, essentially, I'm just moving the money around. So I'm gonna say, hey, look, let's go get this money for this social justice initiative. Let's say we helping people. I ain't even gonna do that because people are gonna think I'm being petty. But let's just say, for whatever the cause is, right? I am going to have an event. I am going to get some type of marketing and branding. I'm going to basically pay this other company to do things for me, and they may be, you know, we got some type of relationship. And I get to, when I send that, when I gotta go to oversight, right? Because they gonna check them motherfucking numbers. I get to say, we spent the money that y'all gave us this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. But I also am going to circumvent some of that, because the people who I paid, nigga, look, I paid you, I need some of that back. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you ever worked at a club, when I used to work at the club, right? Party promoter, boom. Club owner, boom. You get the people that like the star, the entertainer, boom. That entertainer, I may give him 15 racks. I may give him 15 racks. All right, boom. You get the 15 racks, but nigga, you better spend 8 with us though. Cause you know, we just want, you get to say your numbers is this. We get our money on the back and everybody in, you know what I'm saying? So I preface that because I want everybody to understand that these social justice warriors and shit are frauds. Fraudulent behavior, fraudulent people. And I'll go up against any one of them. Throw me in the ring with any one of them and I'll call them out. But they're not going to go, they're not going to do it because they know I will cook them every single time. Please, get your favorite. Please, get them. I would love it. Just set it up. But, back to the point. So, you got this Jay-Z, Colin Kaepernick situation, and this is just another way that our likeness, that our throw a black face on it, or our representation is used against us, right? So, I just gave you the breakdown of how the slush funds is moved around, how we checking and moving all of the monies and the dollars around, just to say that it's a black face on it. So, boom, you got Jay-Z, ain't nothing wrong with getting the bag, but what you gotta understand is what's happening is the NFL as an institution is weaponizing Jay-Z, whether he knows it or not. Because I need all my bag chasing people to understand that just because you are not politically inclined or just because you are apolitical does not mean that politics does not affect you. Does not mean, again, when you chasing that bag, understand that the people at the very, very tippy top are some highly politically engaged motherfuckers because it's politics. All this shit is politics. It's winners and losers, who get chosen and who don't. So, whether you like it or not, whether you, again, this is not an attack on Jay-Z himself, but just a conversation about we need to understand that he's being used and weaponized against us in a way to say, look, a black person is doing this. A black person has got an opportunity on the back of silencing an individual who spoke not about the superficial things, but substantial, ideological, political, infrastructural issues, right? Those things have been silenced as a result of actually being weaponized and being used. And I'm having this conversation today because it's like, yo, it's 2025. People keep talking about what's the solutions. One of the solutions is we gotta stop falling for the old goddamn same tricks, man. What the hell? Y'all got Cory Booker up here. Look, people up here clapping Cory Booker up. This motherfucker done got up here on the floor. It's nothing. It's no, you're filibustering nothing. You stood up there for what? For a symbolic gesture. Just to say you did it? And we clap that up. We eat that up. When are we going to say, again, one of the solutions is being honest with ourselves and accepting the fact that, yo, we being played. We're being played. They're playing in our face. I tell my wife all of the time, man, look, I'm going to tell you the truth. Because when I'm dead and gone, I want you to understand. A motherfucker who will give you and tell you that everything you want, everything you ask for, that they going to give it to you, that's a motherfucker who don't love you. And I'm going to tell you straight like that. All that whole, oh yeah, we're going to give you. We got to stop, people. We got to accept the fact that we are not represented. That's the way that this situation was set up. And it's nobody's fault. And we got to understand that, again, we being sold on the back end of not having the appropriate access and resources for the representation, for selling all of these products, whether it be sneakers, liquor, clothes. Like, we walking, talking billboards as black people. And that's cool. But also understand that we don't have the appropriate accesses, we don't have the appropriate access and resources as it relates to what is necessary to actually be playing the game that we think we playing. Because again, I want everybody to play the game. If you could, but right now we not playing the game. We being played. That's why everybody mad about Donald Trump and all these billionaires fleecing the government right now, because you've been lied to for so long. This is what they've been doing. This is what they've been doing. Again, I ain't even, look, black people ain't the only people who've been goddamn tricked and bamboozled. Look, let's take it and move it over from black people to race. Let's have a real conversation. White women were probably the first people who got tricked by the representation thing. That's how feminism came about. Because why? White men said, you know what? We gotta give these little motherfuckers something. Because they keep crying and shit. So we gonna let them think that they us, and we gonna put them in the same spaces and shit. But we still run this shit. We still run this. And they understood, like, damn, I'm in the spaces, but I kind of don't have the control though. I still kind of don't have the access that I was told that I was gonna have. Yeah, because you're being played. We're all being played. And everybody want to be mad at Trump, and everybody want to be mad at Elon Musk. But Elon Musk played y'all, played the Democrats, played everybody, because that's what money people do. That's the conversation that we're having. He used the likeness. Again, I'm moving it away from black people right now. The likeness of liberals, the Democratic Party. What's the little young white boy named Facebook? Zuckerberg used the whites, liberals, and said, you know what? Trump in office right now, I'm about to go chase this bag. Representation in 2025 is to be monetized like everything else. And I wish we would just stop allowing ourselves to be taken advantage of in that way. Just because again, they got a statue up of black women in Times Square. And I'm gonna just say this. I don't have an issue with the statue in itself, but the moment and time it matters. First off, don't put no statue in the middle of Times Square and talk about you gonna put it in between two white men because you want her to be standing there fighting the goddamn historical blah, blah, blah. No. That's not what black women are for. And I need y'all to understand that, no, I don't want to be used this way. I don't want to be superhuman, god damn it. The hell? This ain't my problem. This ain't y'all problem to fix. That's my problem with it. Nah, take that shit down. And don't immortalize the version of me that you can take advantage of. The version of me that is the most vulnerable. Absolutely not. Black women, take y'all ass in the house, man. This ain't y'all fight. Get them out of Times Square. Let them two white statues, I don't know what statues they are, but let them fight it out on their own. I don't know. Again, they want to use your likeness in a moment where the shit hitting the fan. Now we want it. No, absolutely not. Now, I'm gonna move on to, and this the last piece I'm gonna move on to is ideology, right? And this is really just gonna be a larger conversation around elected official space, because a lot of people are gung-ho crazy about black electeds who don't think like the average black person. And again, like I said, the whole "we are not a monolith" is not the flex you think it is. Every other community, even though they might have disagreements within it, move like a monolith. So Westmore comes out, the nation's lone black governor vetoes bill to study reparations. Maryland Governor Westmore on Friday vetoed a bill that would have required the state to define economic harms to black descendants of enslaved people and recommend remedies, dealing a blow to reparation supporters who counted on the only black governor of a U.S. state to be an ally. The veto of a reparation study was the highest profile 24 vetoes more issue late Friday, the most the governor and rising Democratic star has fought back against the Democratic-controlled legislator during his 2.5 years in office. Moore said, given the state's economic problems, he was focused on laws that helped the state recover from severe impacts of the Trump administration's federal spending cuts. Okay. I was very transparent with leadership and members of the General Assembly that anything that fails to meet the urgency of this moment, I will not sign it and must wait for another time, Moore said in an interview, calling the reparation study the most challenging of his veto decisions. All right, hold on. Let me read that shit again, because what the fuck? What are you talking about? I was very transparent with the leadership and members of the General Assembly that anything that fails to meet the urgency of this moment, I will not sign it, and it must wait for another time. So hold on. Am I understanding this correctly? Reparations for descendants of slaves don't meet the appropriate time and moment. But Moore said, given the state's economic problems, he was focused on laws that help the state recover from the severe impacts of the Trump administration's federal spending cuts. Moore said he's ready to engage in conversation about repairing the legacy of slavery now, and he doesn't need to wait 2 years for the Reparations Commission to draft a study. A study group that is saying that they're going to present reports to the governor in 2 years is fine. But the governor is ready to engage now, he said. Moore met with black leaders as recently as Thursday to say he was wrestling with it. Even before his veto of the bill, Moore's unwillingness to embrace a reparation study fostered a mix of betrayal and resignation from some leading black supporters who saw the state's first black governor, a candidate who campaigned on tackling the racial wealth gap, as a natural champion in the century-long fight to redress slavery's generational harms. Despite his comments that he is not running for higher office, Moore is widely seen as a potential presidential contender, a pursuit that could be complicated by a record of supporting the policy for reparations, and that's the key, which according to the polling is politically divisive. Yeah. Everyone is upset about this. Senator C. Anthony Muse, who led a rally outside Moore's official residence in Annapolis last week, urging the governor to sign a reparations bill, said about Moore's lack of support. There will be a real backlash from the black community, not just in Maryland, nationwide, Muse said before the votes were issued, adding that the leaders of General Assembly, Black Legislative Caucus, of which he is a member, are broadly baffled by Moore's reluctance. I've had 2 conversations with him about it, Muse said. all walk away from it the same way. What in the world? Immediately after the veto, the Black Caucus issued a statement noting that the study had a veto-proof majority. The legislator will have the final say. The state's first Black governor chose to block this historic legislation that would have moved the state toward directly repairing the harm of enslavement. The caucus said in a statement, while unilateral executive actions and piecemeal legislation addressing disparities can contribute to progress, they cannot substitute meaningful, sustained, and comprehensive efforts. To advocates, Maryland tackling reparations represented both a concrete and symbolic victory. The state is bounded by the Mason-Dixon line and is the historical home of Black luminaries for equality, including Frederick Douglass, Thurgood Marshall, as well as figures who worked to protect slavery. Roger B. Taney, a Supreme Court Chief Justice who wrote in the infamous Dred Scott versus Sanford Supreme Court opinion in 1857, ruling Black people were not citizens, was a Maryland resident, prominently honored at the State House until 2017. Well, y'all can go ahead and check this out. It's behind the paywall, unfortunately. But I think they give out a few free reads. So I would tell everybody to go ahead and check that out. But the point that I wanted to bring up, the article kind of touched on it, is that ideologically, reparations is politically divisive. And you have a lot of Black people who fall into two categories. And when I say Black people, I'm talking about descendants of slaves as well. No, talking about those who are descendants of slaves. But you have people who fall into the larger category of Blackness who don't necessarily represent us, but because how Blackness has been bastardized in America, it has not appropriately evolved and been disaggregated to capture appropriately what it is Black is. You have people who take advantage ideologically of that. And what do I mean? You had the other day, Piers Morgan, as well as Mark Lamont Hill and Myron Gaines, they were all on this panel talking about a white woman who called the young boy the N-word, right? And so Myron Gaines, to combat what Mark Lamont Hill was saying about basically American descendants of slaves, that he was African American too, being technical. And what Mark Lamont Hill said to him in that was, you're being disingenuous in the same way, because you're saying it in the same way that Elon Musk is an African American, which he is, which is why appreciate Yvette Carnell. Everybody should check out her content in terms of why we should disaggregate the same way the Asian Pacific Islander community in DC asked to be disaggregated in terms of how they looked at. Like, no, we should be Japanese, we should be Korean, we should be not just under this one blanket Asian category, because it allows you to deliver specific policy. But I wanted to talk about the Wes Moore situation because it's not accidental. He is qualifying himself ideologically to be able to matriculate in institutions that, again, do not serve us, but weaponize our phenotype. So phenotypically, he looks like us. So a person would be like, oh, he, for us. Same thing with Kamala Harris and Barack Obama. But ideologically, they are not you. And there are even people who are descendants of slaves who fall into this category of being ideologically unaligned with the group. When I started working in government and politics, I thought representation too mattered. But what I quickly learned is that, yes, everybody there's this diverse pool phenotypically. You have women, you have Latino women, you have Indian women, you have black, you have African, Senegalese, Ghanaian, etc. But what they scan you for, what they are basically accounting for is whether you're indifferent, not racist, but indifferent to the social current construct. What do I mean by that? A lot of modern day institutions are not going to be openly racist in the ways that we've become accustomed to believing that racism happens. For example, Donald Trump is not racist in the sense that he hates black people. Donald Trump is racist in that he is indifferent to the paradigm of ADOS, descendants of slaves, being at the bottom. That's your measuring stick. So you have Wes Moore who's saying, look, I understand that these things are problematic, but I am willing to forego them to qualify to matriculate in this current infrastructure. And also, hold that, also use my blackness, my phenotype, what I look like, to galvanize, to herd people into an institution that does not care about them, that is only here to extract your life force, your money, your time, your effort, your energy, with nothing in return other than making him and creating a space for him to have speaking engagements that may pay him hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. Like because once you go into these spaces, once you become critically acclaimed, people pay you to talk, even sometimes when you don't know what you're talking about. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. I'm doing it because I need to be I want to have ideological battles, but I understand it again. My people don't respect intellect in the same way. I know I need followers because that's the only thing people respect. Or money. And that's just the fact of it. So if you're watching and you understand what I'm saying to you, all I'm saying is you want somebody who can ideologically represent you and point out the bullshit, because they're really good at using a lot of words, a lot of terminology. Like, again, going back to the article, he says that if it's not urgent about what the Trump spending cuts affect, he's not really hell-bent on doing it. So everybody has an issue with Donald Trump, but nobody wants to talk about how Donald Trump was able to ride the wave of what America is into the White House. Donald Trump is built on legacy. The legacy of everything that Wes Moore is saying that he vetoed. Donald Trump's dad and family was able to gift him the money that he had because of the institution and legacy of slavery. But you're vetoing something because you want to individually qualify and use your blackness. Because we have a black bourgeoisie community who will say, oh, well, he playing chess, not checkers. Well, if cowardice is a strategy, let's just say that. Let's just keep it 100. Let's say most of these people are cowards. I know people 60, 50, 70 plus. Your strategy is to be a coward, because you'll have a conversation with me in private, but you won't have a conversation with me in public because you want your brand deals. You want your money. So you'll go and self-censor, but then you want to cry about Donald Trump. You want to cry about white racists. You want to cry about all of the problems and all of the issues that we face as a community, but you won't say nothing out loud because you want to individually qualify to monetize your blackness. You want to be able to stand up on a pedestal and say, I'm the head Negro, Y'all come follow me, but you don't want to say what got to be said because you know the smoke that come with it and you don't really want the smoke. You don't want the smoke. And just say that. Just say that your strategy is being a coward. And I want us as black people to start calling that shit what it is. Oh, it's chestnut checkers. Let me say it like this. For everybody who wants to say it's chestnut checkers, because I'm a young boy. I'm willing to listen and I'm willing to learn, but I could teach our old dog something too. Because here's what y'all not taking into account. A lot of y'all pushing 70, 80, 90. We've been having these same conversations since I've been alive. Everybody want to talk about, well, the opportunity might come. No. Understand that what we're living through right now is the nuts and bolts being tied up. What we're living through right now and what we're going through right now is the oligarchs and the billionaires saying, no, we're going to put the nuts and the bolts on this so there is no more newness. We're not living in a situation where, again, we're at the beginning of this. No, we're coming towards the end. The game is almost over. Like, y'all don't get it? You got all these entertainers crying out here, no money. They still getting raped on rap deals, 360s. How many people got to come out and tell us about this before we get it? I'm not really understanding. But we want to use cowardice as a strategy because it's convenient. You got people who are sitting in the meeting with you. Everybody knows it's bullshit that's being talked. Everybody knows it's bullshit that's being said. Everybody knows it's bullshit that's being voted on. But you know what? The person who speak, they want to clap them up after the meeting. Nah, for what? Y'all didn't stand with them when it mattered. Because you wanted to protect your brand deals. You wanted to protect your promotions. You wanted to protect your access. And again, this is part of the conversation because you have to go through a cultural castration to get the access. And that's the problem. Your representation comes without the resources, it's like somebody stealing your car, taking your car, giving it back to you without the engine. I can't drive it. Like I said earlier, we used to play video games. Motherfucker think they playing the game, whole time controller unplugged. But I plugged it in. You got representation. You thought you was doing something. But don't nobody want to be honest about it. Don't nobody want to have a conversation about it. And again, if you want to chase and get your bag, I'm not against that. But I'm tired of hearing on the other end that people want to cry about racism. You playing into the bullshit. You know what come with it. Some of us, the younger people, some of y'all are ignorant. But for a lot of the older people, they know the game that they playing. They know it. And it's just sad to continue watching, man. It really is. It really is. Because it's like, okay, you're going to get a bag out of it, right? And some people who think they build a legacy out of it, right? 10, 20, 30 years from now, what are we going to have as a society? Because everybody want to talk about what's happening right now. Like, understand that there was a lead up to this moment. I just want everybody to think about that. Like, this just did not happen in this 1 4 8 year time span. Understand that America has been this. And be honest, understand that Donald Trump is more of a representation of America than what we think is not. He's egotistical, he's arrogant, he's anti-intellectual, selfish, all about the bag. And people don't like him because he also, see, it's cool to be indifferent to black poverty and black pain, but people don't like Donald Trump because he's indifferent to everybody's pain. He don't give a fuck about nobody. Not the whites, not the Asians, not the nobody. He care about him and him only. And people got an issue with that. Because he was supposed to go in. People voted for him because he was supposed to go in and fuck the niggas over. And nobody want to have a conversation about that. Everybody was with it because it was supposed to be back to normals. Get the Negroes up out of here. But guess what? Y'all selfishness, yeah. That's why I'm not mad. Look, baby, y'all better buckle up because right now, this is not going to be over just because Donald Trump has left or when he leaves. It's bigger than him. It's about our culture. We got fucking Uber and Klarna partnering up to exploit people. You got gambling services using black faces to basically create yet another vice in the black community, on top of all of the other vices that we already got. And that's black excellence. Come on, man. It don't make sense. But representation, so we can say we represent it. And I'm tired of hearing people say, well, white people do it too. Hold on. Let me get this right. So, y'all talk shit about white people like a dog. But you telling me they also your measuring stick? What the hell kind of logic is that, man? That makes absolutely no sense. And again, for me personally, I'm not going to sit up here and say that it's every white person. I know that it's not every white person. But what I will say is your indifference as a white person is coming back to haunt you and fuck you over. Because it's not about hatred anymore. All of this stuff has evolved. It's about gross levels of indifference. So for everybody who, oh yeah, I'm gonna chase the bag, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do. Yeah, you're also becoming a part of the problem because you're not intentional. You're leaving behind havoc in how you do it. Because you chasing, again, people who've exploited every part of the supply chain, including the human capital, which is us, and our likeness, and you're trying to do the same thing. And now, to even be and get access, hold on. I saw some other shit on TV, right? Just this last week. It's this gentleman named David Hogg, right? White dude, white boy. Got on TV on the panel, and I'm fucking with it. Because somebody should have been said it. Told Jim Clyburn, basically, get over yourself, chump. And Donna Brazile, who's a black woman who professes that she cares about progressive ideology, tells him essentially, well, when I was out here in the streets and this and that, and I got my seat at the table, and you gotta learn when you get your seat at the table, you can't say shit. She said the quiet part out loud. Yeah, when you get up there, shut your fucking mouth, or we gonna kick you the fuck off. Straight like that. And everybody wanna act real fake, like, nah, look, I ain't gonna lie to you. Some people deserve to get talked to greasy like that. Because if you're gonna be a whore, just be a whore. And when I say a whore, not sexually, but if you're gonna sell yourself out and your likeness out like that, you deserve what come with it. But again, don't nobody want to be honest about that. You don't want to, as a black person, you conflicted because you like, oh, well, he a white boy. Nah. Donna Brazile cheated for Hillary Clinton. We remember that? So what are we talking about? And Jim Clyburn is like up there in age. Should have been had that conversation. But again, your likeness get used, so now it's used to silence a conversation. But you represent it. You're not represented. Not ideologically anyway. You got maybe a person who got some brown just like you, but ideologically you're not represented, and that's why the leftists always lose. Because they're not ideologically represented and they don't understand. A lot of them, I ain't gonna say all of them, because I see some coming out of the woodwork who starting to understand. They're not represented. But a lot of them are there to play the game. Just controlled opposition. Because that's what a lot of black people are. Controlled opposition. Okay, you can cry about it all day, every day, but you ain't gonna do nothing. Because you know that you selling your blackness to them to get them to buy into something that you know ain't possible. They got motherfuckers out here believing they gonna work 5, 10 jobs to become a millionaire. Slim, shawty, that's not how that's set up. I'm gonna work on getting some actual business owners on here to tell y'all, to talk about, how the pitfalls of entrepreneurship and what it really looks like in 2025 and how that actually functions. Cause I'm not that guy and I try to stay in my lane. But what I will say, man, is we gotta stop being taught alike and just wanting to be represented. People take advantage of that. People take advantage of the fact that we have been underrepresented for so long that we will take anything. When you are truly represented in something, you should not have to culturally castrate yourself to get access to the room. Because if you have to do that, that is not representation. You need the engine to the car so you can drive it, not just the car. The guts, the outside, the panels. You need the whole thing. Come on, people, it's 2025, man. Solution, stop falling for old tricks. Become more astute so that you can realize, like, I'm being played, man. Like, it's not even cool at this point that we still think that just because we in a movie or we elected a black this or a black that's going to change our quality of life. Motherfucker, it's 2025 and we still going in a downward trajectory. Come on, man. Sad, man. Sad to watch people think that that's success. It's not. I really wish it was. I'm not going to lie to you. I really wish it was. Because that's way easier. But it's not. They playing right in our face. And I want y'all, and my message to black women is, look, tell them get that fucking statue out of Times Square. That ain't y'all fight. Why you want to put us in the middle with two white men and represent the strong? No, you are not a superhero. You are a human being. Stop letting them do that to y'all. I know it feel good. People in your own personal life, yeah, hype you up. But no, do not let them culturally put that message out, because that has ramifications. It has consequences. We gotta protect our narrative. But if you are with me still, thank you. I appreciate you. Like the video, share it, please, man. Leave a comment. If you don't agree with me, feel free. I'm always open, but I've been around this shit a long time, almost my whole life. And I know this very well, but I'm willing. But y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday. I thank you and I love you.